Perfect. Before we start, I just want to acknowledge the traditional lands where we work and play, and we're so lucky to be in a beautiful part of the province. And I just want to say I'm grateful for the Aboriginal people that were here before us and continue to learn from them and continue on. Um, I'm Nate Lott, and I am a learning coordinator for School District 20, which is in the Kootenay Columbia region. So um, my job essentially is to work with teachers within the district with technology, and that's introduction of new technology. So I work with coding, I work with physical computing, laser cutting, 3D printing, VR, AR. The list goes kind of on and on. And over my time is teaching, I've kind of developed a number of programs which we use in our district that are flexible and adaptable, K through 12, that have worked really well for us. So today, I'm going to kind of talk about the CoSpaces program, which is one of our staples for our district. And I'm going to kind of run you through a building out of an environment and what that might look like, so you all can get an idea of, first of all, what that looks like, and then kind of start to think about how that hooks into curriculum, competencies, and content wherever you are from and whatever you are doing. It's a big program. It's got a lot in it, but it's also the beauty of it. It's a very simplistic program in terms of usage with the coding in it and with the 3D design. So that's why we love it, because it's very adaptable and we can use it across a lot of different grades and a lot of um, different applications in terms of subjects. So I think what I'm going to do here, if anyone has any, does everyone have any questions before we start and get into this on the side? We're good. Um, so what I'm going to do here is, like I stated before, I am going to give you, I'm going to go through the license process of going into a classroom. And if you have two screens, you can jump on in with us. And if not, you can just watch and kind of walk our way through it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to flip over and share my screen. So let's make sure, hopefully I do this part right here. So my screen one, I'm just going to share that. And if you can just give me the thumbs up when that is going. Does that seem good? Yeah, we're good. So what I want to make sure is everyone here seeing, I'm just going to bring it up here. Is everyone seeing kind of the pink CoSpaces classroom thing? Is that what everyone's seeing? Yeah. Okay, good. So what I'd like everyone to do is coming in, if you could just go into your, go to Google, it's easiest. You're following, if you want to join in, and just type in CoSpaces. And when you hit that, the first hit on your line, your URL here will be CoSpaces right up on the top. So I'm just clicking on that, and that will take you to the CoSpaces entrance area right here. And up on the top, you have your login and your register up here. So I'll give you a second to kind of get to that point if you want to follow along. So how this works is I am a CoSpaces teacher, so I have my classroom, and when I enter into a classroom, I'm sitting in a class with, let's say, 30 students. I take all the students to this page right here, and I ask them to go up into the top right corner up here and just click on the register button. And it will just take a second to load up, and it asks you if you want to register as a student or a teacher. So of course, whenever a student comes into the classroom, they're always registering as students right here. And then it has a passcode that you need to enter into the classroom. So I'll pop the passcode up on the screen right here for you. And I will also put the passcode in the chat as well. So if you don't catch it on the screen, it'll be in the chat on the side. So S7D7G. Should make those capitals probably. I don't think it really matters when you put it in, but and let's put that in the chat. Okay. So once you've entered that into the, I'll enter it in here. So I'm just going to walk you through the process to show you how easy it is. it takes you to this page right here, and it asks you, okay, give your name, give your username and your password. So I'll type my name in as Nate. My username will be Nate76, and I'll just type a password in here. Of course, the password has to have certain components in it. You can see all on the side, so the students have to make sure that's correct. And then you just click on Create My Account right here. So once the students have created their account, it's really easy. They come into the workspace here, and they automatically are inside my classroom. So you can see I have a classroom set up here called UBC, and then I'd click on UBC, and then I just click on this space right here, and that will take me into the classroom and take me into the 3D environment where I'm going to do my work. So hopefully that process is fairly straightforward. Um, I'm going to go over, I might talk about setting up the classroom later, but for your students actually accessing the program, it's really simple and easy to get into. So what I'm going to do is I will just I'm going to click on free play here, and I'm going to click on create CoSpace. So once the students click on that classroom, they are kind of brought into a space that looks like this. And sorry, I'll just hide that on the bottom. And this is your design environment. Now, I don't know if anyone's used a 3D space before or if it's your first time in it, but it's kind of like it's a 3D space, and it has in the center of the 3D space, it has a camera, which is a representation of the player, the person that's going to come into the game and walk around in it. Now, the beauty of CoSpaces is it's set up already with code inside of it. So your camera, when I start to use it, you can walk around inside the environment. That code is already set up. You don't have to set up all those little bits and pieces. You actually have a jump inside the environment as well. So it has a lot of pieces in it that are already set up, ready to go. So you don't have to set those up because it will be a bit of a headache to create those things inside the environment. So this is all set up, ready to go for you. The movement inside the environment is, I'm just using a mouse right now. I generally always say when you're inside using 3D design or something like that, like Tinkercad or CoSpaces, that you give your student mice because a trackpad is a bit difficult to maneuver in. A mouse is just a lot easier to move around. So if I'm left clicking on my mouse, that's my kind of looking around like that. If I right click on my mouse, that will create a bounding box, but that's just for highlighting things. We don't use that as much. If you want to zoom in on an area on the kind of grid you have here, you just use your regular scroll wheel on your mouse. Will zoom you in and out like that. So that's easy. You can't go below the workspace. You can see I can only go to where it's flat. And I'm going to be running another session next week that's going to use another program, a building program called Tinkercad, where you can go all the way below. But this keeps you kind of up on the top like this. So that's a good thing. You'll also notice too, and this is really interesting actually, when I zoom in, it just zooms me into wherever I'm kind of looking. If I hold down my space bar and zoom in, I can zoom into wherever my mouse is. So you can see I am now, wherever I'm putting my mouse in the top left corner, it will zoom me into that area up here. So the first thing you want to go over with your students is, of course, the just the movement inside the space, and so they feel comfortable inside a 3D space like that. Now going over this entire kind of editor right here, you have a snapping tool, and we'll talk about that in a bit. That's for snapping things and moving things around on your grid. You have your undo. That's pretty obvious what that does. Over on the side, you have two buttons over here, a square and kind of some lines. And if you click on the square, it will show you your first scene. So the first scene is we can build out multiple scenes through your level. So for example, if I wanted to tell a story, we get students to build out stories. They build out their first scene, and then you walk through it and you go to out a door, and that will take you to the next scene. So you can build out multiple scenes inside your environment. And that's great for storytelling and game design as well. This little button right here, these three lines, these are what are called your assets. So everything that you bring into your design here, they populate this area here. For example, if I have a character, walls, houses, windows, whatever, that all populates this area here. So that's called your asset area. And the cool part is you can search up. And we'll use this. I'll show you this a little bit as I build my level out. So I'm going to pop that back closed. I'm going to come down to the bottom down here. And you have three options here. You have a library, an upload, and an environment. The library is what you think it is. It's a library filled with 3D objects, um, all kinds of different things, housing objects, animals, items, transport, and special items. And we'll talk a tiny bit about these as we move through what we're doing. This is basically where you go to build your design out. On up here, you have next to the library, you have what's called an upload button. And in here, you can actually upload models from popular 3D design uh, other websites. So for example, there's a website called Sketchfab, and you can find, let's say you want to find like a realistic tiger or something like that. You could bring that into this by downloading the model, sorry, uploading the model from that site. You can also look up images. So I could click on a web search and I can look up paintings, and we'll use this in a bit here. And you can look up stuff and then, just bring it into your scene like that. And we'll talk a little bit about that and use that in a bit. You can also bring in sound, so you can you record yourself talking, or you can bring in sound from other files. So for example, if I want my character to have my voice, I could click on record and then I could have my character speak inside my environment, which is pretty cool. Over on the edge here, if I click on environment, this changes your environment. So for example, if I click on edit, I can choose, I am kind of partial to the mountain environment. So I'm going to click on that one, and that will immediately give me sort of a surrounding mountain environment in here. I can also change the time of day, foggy night, give it some tints. I can give it some snow if I want, a little bit of rain, bubbles. I don't know what the bubbles would be for, but maybe maybe you could make a bubble environment. Yeah, so that is kind of cool. That's very easy to implement. You just click on that and you can change your environment. So I'm going to close that up. I'm going to bring my camera over here. Up on the top right along here is your share. So once the students have completed their work, they're going to share it out, and I collect it. And I could be doing something in social studies. Let's say I want to create a historical scene. The students create the models, and then they share it out, and then I kind of walk through what they've built out. Our district, actually, we built out, when COVID hit, we built out school tours. So because no one could enter the schools and we had kindergartens coming in, we built out virtual tours of all of our schools for our students using CoSpaces and Google photospheres. So I went in and took photospheres of all the schools and different parts, and we uploaded that with code, and we they could walk in virtually through it. So that was useful. This part right here is the code. So if you click on code, you can see there's some different options here. We'll talk about this in a second. Generally, you're going to use CoBlocks because it's block-based building. These two are your script building. So if you want to be more advanced, you can use Python or TypeScript. Probably Python is the preferable one because that's a very popular language. This is the play button right here. And if I click play, I can actually click and look around in my environment. I'm walking around in it right now, but you can't see I'm moving. I'm using the WASD on my keyboard, and you can kind of see I jump a little bit there. It's a bit hard to see, but that's all built in. Now, once you're in the play environment, if you want to get out, all you do is you click on the back button, and you're back inside your editor. I'm just going to kind of stop there for a second, and I just want you to give me an okay on the side of the chat there, or a thumbs up if I'm moving at a reasonable speed for you. I don't want to move too fast or leave anyone behind, or if you can just tell me how I'm doing. A couple questions for K-12 learners. Did you require any district? No. Yeah, you can sign up with pseudonames. Yeah, you can sign up with pseudonames. That's generally what our students would do when they're coming into it. So nothing is required for any of that, what you're talking about. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's good. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna continue on here. So let's talk a little bit about building out something easy so we can kind of get into the swing of creating a story environment. So I'm gonna kind of zoom in a little bit here. I'll come down to where my camera is and just get nice and comfortable and close to it. And the first thing I do, I think, is I'm going to bring a character into the environment so my character can start speaking and animating. So I'm going to come down to the library down here. I'm going to click on library, and you have a selection of a lot of different characters. One character they always want to choose is the baby. Don't let them choose the baby because the baby doesn't have any arms or legs. So, and it doesn't have a lot of animations. So, but they like half the class always jumps to the baby. I don't know why. It's just like they just want to do it as well. And near the end here, you have a number of like scuba divers and um, Roman kind of time themed characters. You have like witches and Draculas and Santas. I always encourage the students when you're starting out to start with a very simple character and then work your way up because these ones have the most animations attached to them. So I'll just choose this little girl right here. I'm going to bring her in and I'm just going to kind of close my library up and I'm going to zoom around and I'm going to come in a little bit closer to take a look at her right here. Now you can see here's my camera and I can kind of put my camera down and I'm going to shine the camera right on the character. You can see my camera is like, it's got kind of a light. So I click play here. You can see there she is. She's just kind of standing there. Now they do have idle animations, so they're just going to hang out and kind of look around like that. That's just part of the program. Um, so that's great. They're not just like standing solid still. They do have a little bit of movement for idle. Now, you'll notice my camera's snapping. It's like it's clicking on all of these grids, and I don't really want that. So I'm going to click on snapping, and I'm going to turn snap to grid off, which removes the grid and allows my camera to move smoothly around, which is a little bit easier for movement, I find. So the first thing we're going to do is we want our character to talk a little bit, maybe introduce what we're going to be working on. So I think what we'll do is we're going to build out a room around her, and she's going to kind of introduce the room. So let's click on code up on the top, and I'm going to click on the CoBlocks icon right here. And then you are now entered into the block-based editing. So you can see down here, there's a little settings icon, and you want to make sure you're on advanced. Advanced gives you a lot more options to work with, which might seem a little intimidating at the start, but it's good to have those on standby when you want them. So now the first thing you want to do is you can pull this out and you can pull this editor any way you want. I like to kind of leave it about half the screen so I can see what's going on in here. I can move her around and I can also work on my coding at the same time. So I'm going to right click my character and her name is Braids Girl. I'm going to give her a name. I'm going to call her Susan, just to alter that. Now inside here, you see there's a lot of different options to work with. The first thing you want to do whenever you want to code something, and it's very important to iterate this again and again for your students, is you have to click on code and you have to toggle the character on. When you toggle the character on, they then can be used inside of your your editing platform on the side here. Often students will be like, well, I don't see my character over here. This has to always be toggled on to use them. Over in the side here, you'll see there's some options. So I'm going to click on the material option right here, and you can get interesting with skin color, um, the clothing color. You can customize color on the bottom, so you can do different hues. You can actually see it has a hex number here on the side, so you can play around with that, an RGB. So the kids often have fun with just starting out decorating their character and changing how they look a little bit. Give her some gray eyes. And you can see that's reflected in the character right here on those colors that I've chosen. So once that's done, you've got your character set up. We want to get our character to speak. So there's a couple different ways to do that, but the best way to introduce that is you want to kind of click on the character and then they give you some instructions. So as you notice, there's a number of different coding blocks down the side here. So you want to click on the one that is the yellow flag and it says events. So if you click on that, I'll pull this out a little bit farther. The first event you see on the top, it says when Susan is clicked. So you pull that out and you can just snap fit it in there. If you've used Scratch before, it's very similar to Scratch, but obviously you're working in a 3D environment, so that is a bit of an adjustment. So when Susan is clicked, I'm going to get her to speak. So the speak is in this actions area here, like this little purple eyeball. And you come over here and the first thing I'll just get her to kind of welcome the player in. So Susan say hi for 2 seconds. If you just choose the Susan say hi, she'll say hi forever and it'll just keep going. So I'm gonna grab that one and you just click on the area here and you can say welcome to, we'll do an escape room. Welcome to the escape room here. Getting my different pieces, spaces. And then what you can do is you can click it again. I'm going to duplicate it again. And I'm just going to say, let's just find, keyboard's not working as well as I want it to. Find the key to get out. We'll keep it nice and simple. Okay, so if I come over and I'm just going to move this over a little bit this way. So there's my 1, 2, 3 blocks of code there. I'm going to click play and you'll notice she doesn't say anything. But when I hover over her, she highlights and I click her. Welcome to the escape room. She should say that for 2 seconds and find the key to get out. Now that was just way too fast. So I'm going to back up here. I'm going to come back into my code and I think I'll get her to say that for maybe 3.5 seconds and I'll get her to say this, I don't know, maybe 4 seconds, and let's see if that's a bit more reasonable. So, welcome to the escape room. Okay, I can read that in time and find the key to get out. That seems reasonable. That gives me enough time to actually read the text. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is the her mouth's not moving, and she's just kind of like, there's a speech bubble coming out, but nothing's happening. So we need to talk about animations and sequence for animation. So we kind of want her, when you click on her, we want her to start speaking and then say those things. We want her mouth to move. So under actions, I'm going to click actions up here and it says set animation of Susan to don't animate. So you want to grab that one and you put it right on the top like that. And I'll bring this over just a little bit this way. And you can see when you click on don't animate, um, it has a number of animations. And if you choose something like Santa or like the vampire, you just don't have all of these options for animations. So there's quite a few here. And probably we're going to start simple. So let's get her to talk excited like that. So send an animation of Susan to talk excited. So let's click play. And I'm just going to look down and I'll click on her. And there she is. So welcome to the escape room. Find the key to get out. Now you have a problem. Susan is just going to keep on talking and not stop. And if I click her again, she'll actually repeat the code. So what we want to think about here is let's click on set animation of Susan to talk excited. You can right click it and you can duplicate it. That'll just give us a copy of it. We're going to bring the copy down to the bottom. And after she says all this stuff, we're just going to get her to, I don't know, just get her to clap. Maybe she'll just kind of clap because she's so excited you're hanging out with her. So welcome to the escape room. Find the key to get out. And she should stop talking. And yeah, she's just clapping. Happy to see me. So I can walk around and she's just going to stand there. She's not going to do much. So I'm, like I said before, I'm using the WASD keys. And I think, yeah, you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard as well to move around. I can jump up and down. And she's, yeah, seems to be about the right height. Now, if I don't like the height of Susan, if I want to make Susan a little bigger, I just pull on the 4 arrows here, and that will move her and make her a little larger. Okay. Um, sure. Review how to adjust the camera lens view. No
I'm
problem.
sure I didn't
Um,
get the language right, but yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, about
yeah, no,
just okay,
it's it's all good. Yeah,
perfect.
so the camera lens there, if you click on the camera and you drag it, you can just like pull it around like that. Or if you want to angle it, if you want the camera to be like on a different angle, you can actually click this part right here, and there's this red circle, and you can angle the camera up or down, or you can angle the camera left or right. So that's how you could adjust the view of the camera right
I
there.
guess I meant my view of the camera. Like
Oh, sorry.
I'm on my other computer, so I can't share my screen with you,
No
unfortunately. But
worries. It's
yeah,
all good. So to adjust your view of the camera, just left click and you can kind of rotate around. If you left click with your mouse and kind of push the camera with the mouse, you'll notice you can rotate. And if you use zoom, you can pull in or out like that. Now, what you might notice as well is you're kind of in a weird spot. Maybe you're like over here somewhere and you can't see everything. If you hold down your space bar and left click your mouse button at the same time and drag, you can actually pan and pull your view around to different places. Sorry, I didn't mention that at the start. So that's how you would actually move yourself to the spot you want to be in. So I guess this is kind of a combination of like left clicking and moving around and pushing on your spacebar and dragging to get yourself to a comfortable position.
I don't think I'm explaining it right. Like I understand everything you've just said and I'm able to do that, but it's still the view that I'm having as the creator is not the same. Like I don't even know how to
What
explain it.
is it like really flat when you're looking? Like, or is it like way up high?
I just
Or
the camera's not even on the person, and I just like the person's floating in midair, and and the person's like a millis size of the camera, and I'm feeling really frustrated actually.
okay.
But that's
So maybe
okay. Everybody else seems fine, so I'll just sit back and watch.
yeah, no worries. What you can do too, if you don't want the person here, you can always click on the person and delete them, and you can always bring a new person in and just plunk them down like that. And you could start again if your person's like a strange size, if they're way too big or way too small, you can always delete that person and just bring them in again and restart if you like. Hmm. This is actually a good little bug to notice right here is if I bring this person in and you'll notice her name is Casual Girl. And I've got Susan over here, so this code will not run with Susan. I have to click on using CoBlocks, turn that on, and I have to change to Casual Girl. Everything has to be changed to the different person. If I bring a new character in, I can't use Susan because Susan doesn't exist anymore. So I've got to make sure I have this one right here. Okay, I'll turn my grid back on just so you can all see the grid, which might be easier for you to see what's happening. And I'm just going to zoom into my character right here. And what you can do is you can click on your character and hit F, and F will focus on the character. It will like come right in and zoom right up to them. Now you can hit F again, and that will take you back out and bring you back out from your character. So perhaps if you're having trouble with your view, you can always click on your camera, hit F, and hit F again, and sometimes that might bring you in and out if that's okay. Okay, so I've got some code laid out here. So I've got my girl, I've got her talking. She's just kind of hanging out in the room. We don't really have anything happening yet. We just got some basic code. So I think probably the next thing we want to look at is designing the room around the girl because we have our girl, we have our camera. So let's design a place for that person to be in. So I'm going to click on library right here. And in library, I have all of these different options. The option I want to focus on is the option called building in the bottom left corner down here. So I'm going to click on building and you'll notice there's a lot of different building blocks. There's like tons. There's spheres and pyramids. The one I want to focus on is the brick wall. It's like the sixth one down. So grab the brick wall and pull it out. And when you pull it into your scene, it will appear. And what I always say is you don't have any real estate right now. Real estate is how much screen space you have. So always close your library. So click on your library and close it so you have a lot of room to work with. Because if you don't have much room to move around, it's going to be a bit frustrating. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down my space bar and I'm going to left click and just kind of get a little bit closer to the wall right here. The wall has arrows on the side of it. It has arrows this way, it has arrows this way, it has arrows that go up and down. You got to grab the colored arrow though. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend my wall out and just make it a little bit longer. So I'm just going to pull it out and make the wall like about that size like that. Now, you can also pull the wall and make it higher. You can pull it up. I'm going to leave it about that high. If you want to rotate the wall, if you don't like the way the wall is situated, you can grab this blue circle and you can rotate your wall. I think it moves by 22.5-degree increments. So it moves in increments around like that. And what I'm going to suggest you do is you get your wall behind the girl. That's the first step you want to do, just so you have a wall that's sitting behind your character. Once you have that and you've got the wall sitting behind her, you can duplicate the wall so you can make a copy of it. So I'm just going to right click the wall instead of left clicking it this time. And I'm going to go down to the duplicate button right down on the bottom down here. So when I click on that, it'll make a copy of it. And that copy comes out. And now I have my front wall and I have my back wall. So I have my two kind of walls between my character. So there's my back one and there's my front one there. So once you have your two walls set up, kind of around your character, you can create another wall that we're going to place on the side of the character. So I'm going to do the same process. I'm going to right click the wall. I'm going to go down to duplicate, bring my third wall out, and this wall I'm going to rotate on its side here, so 90 degrees. And then I'm just going to kind of, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you kind of move yourself kind of around the workspace. And I'm using my space bar and left mouse click button here to move myself around. And I'm just going to extend the walls out so they kind of meet each other. You can see I'm just kind of rotating around my design here. So I have my first wall, my second wall, my third wall, and I'm going to rotate around using my left mouse click button. And then I'm going to create a fourth wall. So the one that's going to close my entire room off over here. So I'm going to right click my wall again. I'm going to duplicate this wall, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that over. So I'll pause here for a second and if you are following along, I'll let you kind of work away and see if you can get to this point here. There we go, like that. And feel free to speak up. I'll just kind of pause here and wait and see how everyone's doing.
May I?
Yeah, it's
Amazingly,
all
I've
good.
got my walls. So I'm really proud of
That's a,
myself.
that's
The one
good.
issue,
Yeah.
yeah, I got a new character. Everything's up and good. I've renamed the character. The problem I'm having though is that when I'm in the code of the actual code area and I'm trying to name the person, it's not recognizing the name that I've given it.
Okay, so if you right click the person and click on
Yeah,
code, this code was
yeah.
turned on, this toggle switch was turned on right here.
Okay.
So there's a tiny toggle switch. It's right here on the side. And you
Okay.
got to make sure you turn that toggle switch on. And once you've turned that toggle switch on, your character will then be recognized inside of your code.
Gotcha. Okay, dokie.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
that's just whenever you want to code something or use something, you just want to ensure that you turn that toggle switch on. Cool. Does anyone have any other questions, or toss it in the chat, or, turn your mic on and chat with me? It's all good. We're just all here to learn a little bit. So
Can you
everyone,
fly
yeah.
like Minecraft? Like I know, like my keyboard, my WASD, I can move around and
Mm-hmm.
can I
Yeah,
fly?
you totally can. So click on your camera, then right click your camera, and then on your camera, there's your camera icon that you can see there. If you click it, you can change it to fly. So fly is your little airplane icon right there. So if I click that and then I click play, then it's not like Minecraft. You don't have the up and down, like oh, you do actually. Sorry, they must have added this in. Q and
Okay.
E. Q and E. Sorry, it's not the same as Minecraft, but it's kind of
Okay.
similar, I guess. Yeah, so that's how if you wanted to use a different style of game, that's how you would do that.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, no
Sorry, can
worries.
you repeat how you got to the fly part? Oh, camera movement.
Sure, yeah. That was I right click my camera, I clicked on camera, and then I have some options here on what I'd like to do. I generally stick with walk, and I do use fly sometimes. Um, you can actually, we create little robots, and you can attach the camera to things. So for example, if you want to attach the camera to like a dragon or something that flies around the screen, you can do that. But that's, we're not going to get into that today, but you can do all kinds of cool stuff with the camera right here. You can actually have multiple cameras. So for example, we do like a little cinematography one with students, and they put multiple cameras, and as you move around, it'll change the camera to different places if you want to make like a little virtual movie and stuff like that. So the camera is actually a pretty powerful little tool when you get used to it. Um, sorry, I was away for a moment. I don't know where to put the wall. Sorry, do you not know where to get the wall or where to place it? To where to get the wall, you click on library, and there's the wall icon right here, and you just drag that out and put that into your space right here, if that's okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Oh, how to get the wall, sorry. So if you click on library right here, and then just on building, and then there's the wall, right? It's the 6 icon down. And you just drag that out and place it in your space, and then drag it apart here. Okay. Yeah, is everybody okay so far? I want to make sure everyone's feeling reasonable with it. Yeah, it's kind of a new space, so
I'm sorry again. It's me.
no worries. It's all good. I'm here to
um,
help.
I'm doing okay. I'm really confident and comfortable. But again, just the camera view. So the F thing was really helpful.
Okay.
And I'm just finding like my girl is in the middle of the wall and my camera's on the outside and I can't see anything. I'm like, I don't even know where everything is.
Okay. So maybe what you could do is try just clicking on your editor on the top and just hit enter. So like reload your entire scene. See
So
if
the
see if
snapping
it's
editor?
yeah, the URL on the top. Just click on the URL on the top and hit
Oh,
enter. That'll reload your entire scene. I don't know if that's
oh,
going to set up anything different for you. I don't know if you're going to be exactly the same place.
I am. It's
You are
exactly
okay.
the same. Like
So
I just
what
I need to be able to see from above. I'm just not, I'm
right.
outside the
So
wall.
I'm gonna say like you're like something like this, or you're in a space where you
Yeah,
can't see. So what you want
yeah.
to do here is right here, while you're in this space, you want to left click and click down so on your scene right here and pull up. So you're pulling up and looking over top of your design. So you can see I'm pulling up and looking over top of my design like that. I'm just clicking and pulling up with
So you're
my left.
clicking left clicking on your mouse
That's
and but what
correct.
is
And
pulling up? Like what is that?
I'm pulling my mouse downwards right now. I'm clicking and I'm left clicking on my mouse and I'm pulling my mouse downwards. I can't see your
I
screen,
know I'm not on I
so
can't hear. Okay,
yeah, so it's a little hard for me to know exactly where you are. But what we can do is hold on. I'm gonna actually try something here, and this is in. I'll show everyone what this is. If I come into the classroom, and oh, you don't have you're not inside my classroom here. So
I
what I
should
can
be. I think I am.
let's see
I
here.
used your code.
I'll try again. I'll reload my classroom. I don't know. That's weird. It should be showing me my students inside here, but it's not.
Didn't you, Nate, didn't you
Oh, you know
create a
what? I came in
student?
as a guest. Sorry. I came in as a guest. So in my, if I join, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to jump out real quick. I think I'm in here. Hold on one sec. I'll
Okay.
figure this out. So classes, UBC, students, here we are. So sorry, which one are you?
I'm Kirsten.
Kirsten.
KLG. Right.
Yeah, right there. So I can actually go into your space right here.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
So here we go. So I'm in your space now. So I'm going to set you up in a bit of a better. So I'll move your cameras upside down. So let's just go through this. It's all good. We'll figure it out. I'm going to click. I'm going to
Sorry.
click. It's all good. I'm going to click on your camera,
Yeah.
and I'm going to actually flip your camera right side up. So I'm going to flip it so it's right
Okay.
side up now. And then I'm going to
Yeah.
rotate your camera towards your character. She's over
Thank
here.
you. Yeah.
No worries. We'll figure it out. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to rotate your camera again. So the camera's facing right at the girl right now. So now at least your camera's looking at the girl. The next thing
That's
I'm
what I
going to do,
needed. Yes.
I'm going to take your first wall. I'm going to take your second wall and I'm just going to rearrange them.
Oh God, thank you.
Well,
Sorry,
the,
everybody. Thank
no,
you.
the beauty of this is I can go in, you can go into your students' things and you can kind of rearrange them and get them it's a great way to help out. And then now if I click play in your space, your girl's just sitting there. If I click on her, she's not doing anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click her. I'm going to make sure she's turned on in code, which she is. I'm going to click on code here and set animation of Kristen to don't animate. So that's where you'd want to change it to whatever you want to say. And then of course you can change here. So I think we're good.
Beautiful. Okay, yeah. It was
Awesome.
just those,
No
yeah,
worries.
the logistics of what do I do. Thank you. And thank you,
Yeah,
everybody.
no, it's all good. Does anyone else need any help in me going into their spaces? I can totally help out right now. And if anyone, no, we're good. Everyone's all right. So what I'd like everyone to do, I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna jump back. Actually, I'm gonna build out this space super fast here in one of mine because I have so many spaces. I'm just gonna create a space real quick. And I'm going to build one out because actually I was working inside a student space. So I'm going to build this out really fast. What I'd like you all to do right now while you're waiting for me, it'll take about 2 minutes. If you could just build another wall or change the colors of your walls while I'm doing this. And I'll just be like 2 minutes here building this out real quick so I can get back up to where we're supposed to be. Okay, getting close. And I almost have my code ready here. Let me just run through the code and put it out here. So I think I had set animation. And then I had him talking a couple times here. Okay, I think we're just about welcome. I'm just going to type welcome. And I'm going to say find the key. Okay, I think we're good. Oh, I forgot to animate him. Let's get him to talk. Okay, so we're back where we were before, generally, pretty much. So what we're going to do now is our character talks when we click on him. Hopefully everyone's talks. Now we want our character to, once your character speaks, we want our character to turn around. Oh, sorry, did someone lose the camera? Sorry, I'm just kind of, I've lost my camera. Okay, you found it. Sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat here. If you ever lose your camera, like if your camera ever disappears, like if you delete it completely, you can always come back down to library, click on special, and bring a new camera in. If you ever like can't find it or you don't know where it is, that's pretty handy. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna get our character to turn around and walk through a door. Sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty good with some of the pieces of code they have inside CoSpaces. So the first thing we need to do is we want to make sure we're in our workspace. There's no code hanging out over the side because that's going to get in our way. How can I change the size of my wall? If you click on the wall, these little arrows right here, you can pull them left or right. Now, if you click on this one, this can rotate your, sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. It'll rotate your wall, but you don't want to do that. You want to ensure that you haven't clicked any of these things here. If you want to raise your wall off the ground, you can click these double arrows and you can lift it up and down like that. If you want to make it like bigger, you can click on these ones. But generally, I use these arrows that are sitting off this side. So to put a door in behind our character is really easy. It used to be hard in CoSpaces, but they made it really simple. All you need to do is come to library on the bottom. And if you click on housing, and if you go up to a little ways up, I think it's up here a bit. Did I go by it already? I think I did. I think I'm going to make this oh, here they are. They're right here. You can actually type in door and search. That's probably a faster way. Type in door and search. Don't do what I did. Type in door and you can see there are 1, 2, 3, there's 4 or 5 types of doors. Now these doors all have little magic wands on them. And these magic wands means that when you attach the door to something, it automatically builds the door into the 3D model, which is really handy. So for example, I'm going to grab this red one and I'm just going to attach it to the side of the wall. I just pull it out and attach it. And if I let go, that door is now a part of the wall. If you come over to the other side, you can see the door appears on the other side of your wall over here. So I'm on this side and this side. So I'll just do that one more time. So I clicked on library, I searched up door, and all I did is drag the door directly onto the wall. And it should stick to the wall. Like it's like yeah, it should just stick to it. Okay, is everyone okay with that step? Now the door, same thing. You can't use it until you bring it into code. So I'm going to right click the door. It's called front door is the name of it. I'm going to click on code and I'm going to turn it on. So that allows me to use the door in the code. Now I'm going to come over to code over here and I'm just going to kind of open my code up a little bit. And what we're going to have happen is we're going to have our character turn around. Okay, the character's going to turn around 180 degrees. They're going to walk forward and that door's going to open. They're going to walk out the door and then the door is going to close. So these steps we're about to go through are a really good way to think about in computer science sequentially coding things one after another. And it's something that students they often think, oh, I just throw some code in there organically. It should just open and close the way you want it to. The sequential part of coding is so important to get into their head. That logical step is really important. So the first thing I want to do, once my character is finished talking, I basically want to pop that door open. So to do that, I'm going to click on actions, the purple eyeball. I'm going to drag out the set animation right here. Oh, actually, I don't think my character stops talking, does he? Sorry, I have to make sure my character doesn't talk anymore. I'm gonna get him just to wave at the character. So there we go. So sorry, I didn't have the correct code in. So what you're gonna do is grab another animation block. So it says set animation of casual boy to don't animate. You're gonna change it from casual boy to front door. So then you're gonna change it to open. So basically, they're gonna talk, they're gonna wave at me, and that door is gonna open behind them. So let's see if that actually works. Always test your code. Well, my character's huge. That's not a boy. He's like really big. He's very tall. He's like a teenager. Find the key. And then the door opens behind him and he waves. Kind of weird. Doesn't really set up as anything, but it's setting us up for what we want to do next. Now, what I want him to do, I want him to turn around 180 and I want him to walk out that door. So first of all, I'm going to not get him so big and weird looking. I'm going to shrink him down. And then what I'm going to do is this is the next part of our coding. So click on transform. Transform is everything that moves in your code. If you want to get something to move, you look at the transform. And you can see the very top one is move casual boy 1 meter forward. Now we don't want to move him. We want to rotate him because it's going to look super weird if he just like moonwalks backwards outside the door. Well, that's you could do that if you wanted to, but we're gonna rotate him. So come down a little bit, come down a little farther. And you'll notice there's something called turn casual, sorry, it's right here. I'm moving a little fast. Turn casual boy clockwise by 180 degrees in 1 second. I don't know if you can find that code on there. But if you can't find it, you can type in turn on the top. And if you hit turn, it will be the first thing that pops up inside of your code log. So drag it, pull it out, and put the turn casual boy clockwise by 180 in 1 second directly below your door opening. Now we can test our code again, and we can click play. And if I click on my, oh, he's gotten a lot smaller. He says his thing, he says find the key, and he opens up and he spins. Although he's waving in the opposite direction, it's something out there that doesn't exist. So you can kind of see where we're going with this. Now, to make it look really strange, let's get him to go out the door. So we've turned him. Now we want to send him in the direction outside of the door. So I'm going to click on transform again, and it's the very first piece of code at the top, the move code. Very powerful piece of code. Drag it out, move him, and I'm going to shoot him about 10 meters forward in 5 seconds. I really don't know the timing on this, but I'm going to test this out. So let's click play. Test your code, always test your code. So welcome, he says his thing, find the key, open the door, and off he goes. He looks super weird. He's just gonna keep going there and he's not gonna stop. Well, that's 10 meters. If I click him again, he'll actually, I think he'll just flip around and come back to me. He should, yeah, he just comes back my direction and actually comes through the door because he's just running the code again. So there he's back in. He'd do this forever. He's flipping around and around like that. So if you look at my code right here, sequentially, it makes sense. We have an issue with our character. When he walks, he doesn't walk. He literally glides across the floor. So we need to add a walking animation before you start moving him, essentially. So what I'm going to do is I am going to, this is a faster way to do this. So if you click on the code right here and you right click the code, you can duplicate the code. So I'm going to click on the set animation front door to open that piece of code right there. I'm going to right click it, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it so I have another copy of it directly below it. Once that's done, I'm going to set the casual boy animation to walking. So I'm just going to set it to, I think I have walk down here somewhere. There's walk. Walk's way, way, way down on the bottom. So set animation of casual boy to walk. So I have wave, open, and walk. I have 3 sets of animations here. So let's try this out. Click play, click on him, walk right up to him. And he kind of does his thing. He turns around and look at that. Looks pretty good, actually. Now, the actual process of creating an animation in a game engine like Unity or Unreal is really complicated. So the nice thing about CoSpaces is these animations are set to match with the character pretty closely. So I'll just stop there for a second, and you can ask any questions about this code right now if you like. No questions? It's
I
good?
felt like my character didn't wave this time.
Same. Yeah, mine didn't
Oh.
wave or speak.
Oh, okay. So the very first thing you should have at the top is the set animation to talking neutral, which is your first one. Your second one should be your conversation. Your third one should be your conversation. And your fourth one is like, mine's not wave. I'm just going to get him to be like sad. So basically he talks and then he stops and he's probably going to like sit like this and just be kind of sad. Does it run in that order? That 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay, once you've got that 4, the The fifth one should open your door. The fifth chunk of code should open your door right here. And the sixth one should be setting his animation from sad to walking. Now, what could happen here, I guess, let me try this again. He might not do the sad animation actually, because he might jump right to walking. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, you're right. Because you know what? It's jumping so quickly between these two animations right here. So what you could do
Add
is you,
time.
yeah, we could add a pause. So if we come down, and I think it's under, here it is. Type in wait, wait right here, and you'll notice there's something called wait for 1 second. You can see it just right here. Grab that and put that in. So you could wait for maybe 3 seconds, and that will allow the sad animation to play before it plays the next one. What's happening there is it's flipping between the animations so quickly, it's not even showing you the next one. So let me try that again. So he says, welcome, find the key, and then he's sad, and he's waiting 3 seconds. The door opens, he turns around and walks out. Yeah. So there we go. Good question, actually. Yeah, it's pretty funny actually. The kids have a blast when they see like the crazy stuff they can do with their characters. So, was there any? Sorry, what age ranges have you begun this tool with classes? I go down to like grade ones with it. So kindergarten, just a little hard on logging them all in and getting them like reasonable on the keyboards, but I go down to grade ones and they just bring characters in and they change the colors on them, and they kind of walk around or they create an environment. We do that a lot. And I lost my camera in my screen. How do I get it back? To get your camera back, if you've lost it and you have no idea where it is, all you have to do is, I'll show you right here. Click on the library button, click on special. So click on library, click on special, and just drag a new camera back into your scene. If you have two cameras, one's going to be white. You can see there's a blue one here and there's a white one here. That means it doesn't know what to do. It's like there's two cameras in here. I'm super confused. If you don't know where your other camera is, like it's gotten lost, like you put it in a wall or something, and you're like, I have no idea where it is, you can click on these three lines on the side and your camera will appear in your assets over here and you'll be able to find it. So the assets are really cool for if your scene gets busier and busier, you'll need to use the assets to find things. So let me see. I've got my camera here and all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the three dots and I'm going to delete my second camera. Now I'm left with one camera and my code isn't confused anymore. Hope that made sense there. Sorry, I'm jumping down on the chat here. You found it. Okay, good. All right, so back to where we were. Sorry, I think I was actually reading an old comment there. I think I was just rereading a comment. That was my bad. All right, so good. We've got our character walking out. Now, the final piece you probably need to think about is we need to close the door behind the character. So that's easy enough to do. All you need to do is take your front door open code right here, which is sitting there underneath my wait. Right click it, duplicate it. Now there's a copy of them. There's two of them here. Drag it out, and all you're doing is putting it on the bottom and closing the door now. So they should walk through the door, and then the door closes behind the character. But the thing is here, they have to walk 10 meters out before the door closes. So I'm going to make him walk maybe 5 meters instead of 10 meters because I think 10 meters is like way too far for that character to be walking out. So let's click play. I'm just going to come a little closer. I'm going to click on him. Welcome. Wait a sec. Find the key. He looks sad. Door pops open. He's so happy to get out, and then he should stop, and the door should close right behind him. He's walking too far. Yeah, he walks too far, but whatever. You can, yeah, he's just like going around, right? He's having fun. And then that should close the door. Now, my character is in here. I'm kind of stuck, right? What you need to make sure and test this, no one should be able to jump over the walls. Like some students will build things and then just like you can jump right over the walls and get out, which isn't a great escape room. You want to make sure that these walls are high enough. So you can extend the height of your wall just by grabbing this thing right here. Now, this is a pretty stark room. It's pretty depressing. There's absolutely nothing going on inside of it. So let's kind of pretty up the room a little bit. So by adding some windows so we can actually see to the outside. So I'm going to click on library again. I'm going to click on search. I'm not going and falling in the trap of looking for it. I'm going to type in window. Two types of windows, there's not a huge selection, but here's the easy thing about the windows. Grab a window, stick it in, make it as big or as small as you want by grabbing the arrows on it. So if I click play now, you'll look to the left and I can actually see through my room, which gives us a little better sense of, like we can actually see the outdoors. So my suggestion, if you want here, grab a window, place it in the side, and then outside of your window, like this area here, I always like a nice forested environment. I'm going to click on nature, and you can just start plunking in different types of trees. That tree's a little big, so I'm going to make it smaller. And you can start like populating just a little bit outside your environment. Now, I think because this is a new scene, I don't actually have an environment. So I'm going to choose the mountainous environment like that. So the students have a lot of fun building out environments, and we use this a lot in a science class. Actually, we use it quite a bit with species and different animals. So they bring in different animals and then they talk about them and they build out the environments for them. So in a science class, that's sort of a piece I use it for as an example. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to build out my scene a little bit more so it doesn't look so stark and harsh. So I'm just going to grab a couple more pieces here. I think there's some, grab some like logs, rotate them around. Now, the cool thing about this is, like I talked about, you can add as many pieces as you want into it. What students will try and do is they will try and build a scene that's so crowded that you have no way to move around in it. So you have to kind of keep them tethered in not building a really crowded scene with tons of stuff in it, because the more things you add into it, the harder it is to kind of move around and find out where things are. So that's why I generally start with a room. It's an easy, and I click play, and I'm just gonna look out my window now. So you can see, oh, those trees are a little close, but that's okay. My room's still pretty harsh looking, but we'll leave it as it is. So coming over into my room here a bit, and does anyone have any questions before I move on to the next little component of what we're going to talk about here? Fire away. I'm here, but if we don't, I'll start to talk a little bit more about the decoration aspect of getting this room ready. So in the library here under housing, you can start to fill your room up with all the things that would make a room a room. Now, one of the first things I work with students is it's kind of the escape room aspect. And the good thing about the escape room aspect is it's a point, the students love that, first of all, and it allows us to kind of teach some different components. So it allows us to teach the 3D design room, so you're designing the room a certain way. And secondly, it uses a number of basic coding concepts which are great for students to learn about. For example, variables, and learning about conditionals, yeah, so it's a great way to kind of introduce the 3D design and the coding at the same time, and also story elements too. So I'm just going to populate my room to make it look a little bit nicer. I'll actually put a bed in the corner over here. You can just kind of fill your room up with different things. Now, the cool thing about some of these objects, and I'll show you here real quick, is these objects have animations on them. So for example, I can close all of the front of this closet here, and through code, I can open it. So I can have, when the character clicks on the closet, it opens up and maybe there's something inside of it. So that's kind of neat. Some of them have animations attached to them. So I'm going to leave this, I'm going to put a painting up in the corner over here. So I'm just going to click on upload, and I talked a tiny bit about this before. You can look up any web images you want. So I'm just going to, I think I'll do a TV actually. I'll show you how to do that real quick. So I'm just going to grab a TV. I'm going to put the TV, I'm not going to build out a huge thing for it. I think I have there we go. I have like the TV sitting on the whatever to hold it up. And then what I'm going to do is I want to put some image on the TV. Actually, I want to put some GIF or GIF on the TV, so it's a constantly playing image. So what I'll do is I'll come to upload. I'll click on web search, and I make sure I'm on images right here, not on any of the other objects. And I'm going to type in Isles Nyan Cat. So So, oops, make sure I have the space there. So what it'll do, it'll search Google and it'll find a number of GIFs for you. So if let's say I grab this one right here, I pull it out and I'll get closer to it. Sorry, I'll zoom in on it. And it will actually run the GIF in the program, which is kind of cool. So I'll try and get that closer to the TV so it's actually on the TV, and I'll make it a bit bigger. So you can make it look like actually in a room, and I'll back up a bit, that there's running images in a room. Now you can add video in here. So you can add audio and video in here. So for example, if you wanted question, yep.
Is there any
Sure.
way that you can lock items in place? Like I keep trying
You move
to
stuff around,
move
yeah.
my walls on accident.
Yeah, no worries. So you right click the wall and there's a lock button right there. Yeah, you just click that and then you can't move it anymore. So yeah, good question. So yeah, and actually this GIF right here, if you bring something like this, you can turn the GIF on. And for example, we could have a remote on the table right here. When you click the remote, it just makes the GIF appear and become bigger. So it looks like you turn the TV on. It goes on and on. There's lots of different options for this, but just to show you that you can put moving images inside of it. You don't want to load it up with moving images because slowly your frame rate will begin to drop. So you want to be aware. Students can't like load it up with like tons of GIFs and tons of video because it just can't handle it. It's based off a web browser, so it's not going to be able to handle a lot of that. Okay, anyway, I want to talk a bit more about the coding aspect and kind of the first thing that we introduce when we are doing something like this. And that is a key. And key in a lock scenario is a great way to introduce variables and conditionals to students. So the first thing I do is essentially I want this character to leave the room and the door locks behind them and I have to find the key in the room to get out. So to do that, I am going to click on upload. I am going to look up key under images to keep it really simple. I'm going to type in key and I'm going to find an image of a key. It doesn't really matter. There's like so many of them. I'm just going to choose this one right here, this simple image. You can use 3D objects as well for the key, but I'm just going to choose this key. Now the key, I'm going to hide it. You can kind of see I'm hiding it here, and I'm going to place it behind this wall item. If I remove the wall item, you can see the key is there. I'm going to kind of stick it up here, and I'm going to make sure the key here that I've chosen, that I turn it, I first of all name it key, because if you don't name things correctly, as you grow more and more and more assets, it becomes very confusing as to what each asset is. So make sure the key is called key, and then I'm just going to turn it on. So that means the key is now sitting there and ready to be coded when I want. I am also going to right click this empty bookshelf and I'm going to turn that on. So I'm going to turn the key on and I'm going to turn the empty bookshelf on. The reasoning why I'm turning the empty bookshelf on is I want when the character, the player clicks the empty bookshelf, I want it to move out of the way and the key's hidden behind the bookshelf. That's kind of the idea behind this. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on code. Now, a great thing about CoSpaces is you can organize your code really easily. So all you need to do, if you can see I have this is my first chunk of code here. Think of this as like a file folder up here. I can rename it, and I'm going to call this intro. So that's the introduction to my scene right there. So I know what's going on inside that file folder for my code. Once I click the plus sign here, I can create a brand new blank code blocks with nothing inside of it. And I'm going to call this one key. So I'm just going to rename it. And this will be the code where I build my key out, where I build my key code to open the door. So in order to do that, I need a couple different things. The first thing I need when I'm going to like open or close something is a variable. The second thing I need is a conditional. And the third thing I need is a Boolean. So we kind of talk through what those components are right there. So if you come down in your code down here, and you'll notice there's a big red kind of circle here with 3 lines on it called data. So when I click on data, it kind of shows some kind of strange looking options right here. And
I
you'll see
lost
that,
my key inside my wall.
oh, you did, it's gone. So your wall, there's 2 ways to do this. The easiest way to do this is to click on your asset tab on the side. So with all your stuff in it, find your key. Sorry, where's my key? There's my key. It's way on the bottom down here. I'm not sure where yours is. So if you click on that, it will highlight it. And then from here, maybe the best thing to do is drag it out. So you can use these little arrows here, and you can pull the key up and out of the wall. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's good. Sweet. Okay, yeah, if you ever lose anything, your asset tab is super handy. I'm going to actually move this over a bit. There we go. There's my key and my wall. So what I'm going to do here is I have this variable tab. Now there's a lot of options here. It goes on and on, but we're not concerned with all that. We just want the top one. So we're going to set variable myvar to quotation marks. So you pull this one out and you put it in. So I always explain a variable as a bucket. So it's simply a bucket that you put something in. So the my var part, you can change it to whatever name you want. So I'm going to call it is locked. So I just name the variable to something that is easy for me to remember. So I'm going to call it is locked. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set is locked to true because we want it to start as the door is locked. You can't open it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down a little bit this way. And, oh, actually, under values, it's just a little bit down. Sorry, I went too fast through that. There's data, and come down a little bit, and there's a thing called values right here. And under values, there is a Boolean, which is true or false, right here. Just drag it out, and you plunk it in here, and it actually connects into this piece right here. So it just like clicks, and you set it to true. So set variable is locked to true. That's our very, very first piece we have to do there to set that code up. Now, what we want to do is when the character clicks on the key, we want to switch it from true to false. That's like kind of what we're looking to do here. So what we want to do is come up, and I'm going to come up a little bit right here, and there's the events tab with that little tiny flag on it right here. And you're going to click on that, and we already used this piece of code when Casual Boys clicked. So we're just going to bring it out, and we're going to plunk it in here. And it's not going to be Casual Boy, it's going to be the key. So when the key is clicked right here, so when you click on the key, we're going to change the variable to false. Sorry, I've got a bunch of different stuff popping up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this code on the top. So this code right here, and we're going to duplicate it. We're going to make a copy of it. So you have two of them like that. And you drag this out and you set is locked to false. So at the very start of your game, is locked is true. And then when you click on the key, it switches is locked to false. So that's how you switch those two over. Now the rest of the code here, once we do that, there is no way to tell when you click on this that anything has happened. So what you want to do is you want to shrink the key. You want the key to, like, when they click on it, you want it to like get smaller and smaller and smaller and disappear. So to do that, you come up to transform, and remember I said everything in transform is like your movement. You come up to transform and just click on your magnifying glass. I always find that's the easiest way, and type in scale. And you can see the first piece of code that pops up under scale is scale the key by 2 in 1 second. That's like the first piece of code. Drag that out, and you scale the key by decimal 001. That will shrink the key to like so small that you won't be able to see it. It'll just like disappear off the screen and it'll be gone. So to test this out, you don't know if this works or not. It's kind of like, I have no idea if this is even working at all. I would move the my chest of drawers out of the way, and I just kind of have my key here. I click play, and I'm going to walk right up to my key, and I'm going to click on it. And when I click it, it should shrink down and totally disappear. So I'll do that. I'll do that one more time. So I'm just going to move that out of the way, click play. I'm going to walk right up to my key, and I'm going to click it, and it should like shrink down to nothing. So I'll just wait a second here and see if anyone has any. I'll pop my code back up, and I'll leave my code there. If anyone has any questions about this this is a little more difficult, but I thought I should kind of just walk through this to show you where we go with it. Does anyone have any questions about this portion or needs any more info? Good. Good. All right, sweet. So let's move along. So what we're going to do now is we started at true, We click the key, it goes to false. Now we have to set up what's called a conditional. We want to say if locked equals false, which it does if you get the key, then the door opens. We also want to say if locked equals true, the door doesn't open. So that's our conditional. That's what we need to focus on. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on events, and you've already used this block. This block's very common right here. So we're going to bring it out, and rather than casual boy, this is going to be the door. So where's my door? There's my front door. So when front door is clicked, and here is the little tricky piece of code that I'll do this a couple times so you can see me do it a couple times. We're going to use what's called a conditional. So under control, there's like a control tab here with like 2 arrows that shoot to the left and to the right. They call it control in CoSpaces, but in computer science, it's called a conditional. So if I scroll down under control, you'll notice there's something here called an if statement. So it's got an if and an if then if else statement. This is very common when you're coding to come across these type of statements. We're going to grab the big one, which is the bottom one, the if else statement, and we're going to bring it in, and it's going to click it inside. So I'll bring my code down just a little bit so you can see that. So if 1 is greater than 2 is what it says, which is pretty useless for us. That doesn't mean anything. What we want it to say is if locked equals false. That's what we want this to say right here. Because if locked equals false, then the door opens. Else, this else down here just means the opposite. Else, nothing happens. The door doesn't open. It just like stays closed. So to get this to say the correct thing, the first thing we want to do is click on this part and make it an equal sign because it has to equal false. That's the first step. The second step is if you click on data, you'll notice you have your variables hanging out right here. They're the third block down right here. So I'm going to drag this one out, and here's the tricky part. If you come on here, you'll notice when I hover over different pieces, they turn white. If I hover over everything, that's useless. That doesn't do anything. We want to hover over the number 1. And when you hover over the number 1, it'll turn white, and you release, and it'll stick that piece of code inside the number 1. So if locked equals, and we're just going to come down a little bit to values, if locked equals false, and we've only got one more piece of code to make this work. So if locked equals false, it only equals false when I click the key. Then I want to open the door. So the last thing you need to do, the last piece of code is actions, set animation of door to open, like that. Now else, you can see the else one right here. Maybe you want the door to say something. So your front door could say, I'm gonna get the front door to say, you need a key. So what's going to happen here is if they don't have the key, the front door is going to talk to them. So let's see if this actually works. So I'm going to click play. I'm going to move this out of the, I didn't do this quite right. I'm going to move this out of the way just to play test it. Click play. So if I click the door says you need a key up on the top. It says that because I need to click the key to turn it the Boolean. So if I click that, now is locked is set to false. And when I click the door opens. You see this logic right here is the basic logic for any door opening in any game. So this piece of code right here that you see on the side is you can use it for chests, for anything where you have to open something. And it's a little more complex code, but it is a great introduction into variables and conditionals and other kind of logic right here. So it's a good introduction for students to get into that. Now, one more piece of code here. I want to move my this bookcase right here if I click it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just come down and I'm going to use another event tab, and I'm going to use the when something is clicked, which is the one we've been using again and again and again in this what we've been working on this tutorial. And I'm going to use an action. And actually, I'm not going to use an action. I'm going to use a transform. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to move the empty bookshelf 2 meters, I don't know, right? So when I click on the empty bookshelf, that will move the bookshelf to the right, which will reveal the key that I've been trying so hard to get my hands on. So let's click play. I'll click on my little guy first and let him do his whole animation thing. So he says, find the key. He looks all sad. Oh, he's so dejected. He runs out. Now, this is a bit of a bug because I can actually walk out with him, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let the door close. I click on the door. It says you need a key. I'm going to click on the bookshelf. Oops, I'm going to have to keep moving that door actually. I'm going to click on the key. It closes and the door opens. He's still hanging out there, but you know what? Whatever. He's just like, he's going to stay there forever and never ever stop. I think probably what I would want to do is send him in another direction. So I'm just going to stop here. I'm going to back my code out. And yeah, from now we have about 10 minutes left. So I'm going to kind of open up, yeah, let's chat about what you've seen here and maybe some options you see for it. I love chatting with people. I've been doing a lot of talking, so it gets a bit much sometimes. So yeah, if you want to ask any questions, if anybody has anything they want to chat about or ask me about how I use this, please let's do it now.
I have just one question. I actually,
Yeah.
I'm so proud of myself. Thank you. I'm a very massive amateur. I know I'm revealing that with every moment.
No, that's
Um,
what we got it. That's amazing. That's great that you're here.
yeah, no, I'm so thrilled. So I've got it. The code has worked, but I guess my question is, I've got the uh two things at the top. One is when play is clicked, and then one is when my character is clicked. So I only need one, don't I? Because when I'm clicking play, nothing was happening, obviously, because it was waiting for my
Yes.
character to get clicked.
Yeah. So when play is clicked, that is always at the start of your code.
Okay.
That you can't remove that because when you click the play button in the top right corner, that's what sets your code off to run. So
Right.
that always stays there.
Okay.
What you don't want is you don't want repeating code. So you don't want when key is clicked in one and then when key is clicked in another, because it just will only work on the most recent piece of code. So your code
Okay.
just won't work the way you want it to. But other than that, the when play is just a common piece of code that always stays there at the top.
Okay.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah,
Great. Awesome.
no worries. What age ranges is it to create escape rooms such as this? I would go grade 4 up, depending on the class. You can do 3 if they're a very strong class. I've done it with a 3 split. But I go 4 up for an escape room because your variables part that I just did with you there, you can imagine what that can be like in a classroom. It can be very difficult with a lot of students. Yeah, and it can be. So what I do is I create videos. So I automate it. So the students follow the videos at their own pace because there's no way you can do this in front of a class with students of 30 students and they're all going to get it. It's impossible. So the best way to do it is to create videos yourself and say, okay, everybody, we've gotten to the part, we've got our little room ready to go. Here's the video. I want you to watch it and see how you do. Work with your partner together. It's the whole partner thing, right? It works really well. So that's my advice on that from what I've seen. Can you share some ideas, projects, or examples you have seen for interdisciplinary and or subjects? Yeah, for sure. I have, hold on right here. I will jump out into my home screen. Hopefully you can all see this. Um, I have this one right here, and I'll click on it. This is a little different. This is we're working on Indigenous peoples in, I believe it was Coast Salish. The students were building out a scene, and they were talking about food and diet for the Coast Salish people. So they built out a scene and took pictures in the background and actually had the person speaking and walking. Or you can see these little lines. I didn't talk about this today, but these things right here are called paths. So you can create paths for your characters to walk around and move around your scene. So this one actually is in AR. So this one you bring into, you use an iPad and you hover over a space, and it would appear like it would kind of like magically appear in front of you, and you could see it. So the students built out various environments. This was a First Nations project that they worked on. Let me jump back and see what else I can find. This one was a social studies project where they did different parts in Canada, different maps in Canada, and they would raise up and they talk about the different components and the different provinces and I think this was a resource one that they worked on in here. So the code would be the province would talk a little bit about what it had, and it would actually have a person that would appear on it. That's one for social studies. This one, I'll jump down to this one right here. This one was Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So this one is pretty cool. So they're developing out stories. So they're developing like a camera and it's following I don't know if you can hear that. Could you, I don't know if you could hear her speaking there or not. Anyway, the narrator is talking about the house. You can see it's built out of here out of pieces. And you can actually go inside of it, and they have the bears and the room, and they all follow paths and walk around. It's a story creation tool, essentially, is what this student used it for. I'll back up. I'll keep going here. This one was this was a solar system tool. So what they did is they built out the different planets here, and then they put the code in to rotate them around the sun. And so what they did is they did that with AR, and this is a merge cube. So you hold this in front of an iPad, like essentially you hold this in front of an iPad, and it would appear on your screen, and this whole solar system model would rotate around, and you see it through the iPad. There's a science example. This one actually, this one's really cool. Did this one a while back. This one was they took the Gale crater from Mars, and we took a scan of it. NASA has all of its scans online, and they put a character on it, and they talked about the Gale crater and the size of it. And this is an actual 3D scan. Remember I talked about you can bring models into it? This is actual 3D scan of the crater they built in. Synchronously, yes, you can, but it's a bit of a nightmare because you have one person grabbing something and another person grabbing something else. So generally, it's
Right.
better to keep them,
Okay.
in their own space. It is possible, and if you can figure out a way to do it, that would be awesome. This one is a Minecraft one. So we took my Minecraft project and we created body systems. It's a bit hard to see, but so they created body systems here, and I'll see if I can shrink this down and get you a bit closer to it. You can see there's the head, and they have a Minecraft cart that come all the way up, and you can go inside the body system. This was a combination of Minecraft and CoSpaces, obviously, and a little bit more advanced, but they even built a toilet on the bottom and everything. So this was like a body system component that they did. That was a really cool project. What else can I show you? This was a recreation of their school. So this is a model of the school that they built. And then they wanted to build a whole bunch of additions to the school. So this was pictures that they had of the things they'd like to add to their school. And you can kind of walk around in it, and you can see the kind of additions they wanted to put into their school. This was a model that is built out in Tinkercad, which is what I will be working on next week. So yeah, anyway, there's a lot of different ideas with different ways you can use it. This is a 3D, I think I talked about 3D sphere. This is, you can take 3D spheres of any place, and you can add, like, you can see there's just you can add things into it. This is a maker space in our district. That's actually my kids when they were a bit smaller. I don't know what they're doing in there. So yeah, anyway, hopefully there's a lot of different ideas that you can use. Currently, go up to the top. Currently, I am building out using it with robotics. So we have a robotics grade 9 course. So they make the robot in Tinkercad, and then they bring it into a course like this. You can see they build like little courses, and then they guide their robot through the course by driving it. Let's see if I can show you a quick demonstration. You drive it through, they drive the robot through the course that they build in CoSpaces. Yeah, lots of different ways to use it. Yeah, the AR is really cool, and the AR is really easy. The AR, you don't have to have the merge cube to use it. You can just like use the iPad and look at a flat space, and you can project it on something that's super flat. So that's an easy one. You don't have to have the cube. The cube's just you can put multiple sides on it. So yeah, any other questions? We're kind of getting near the end here, but
I guess my next question is just logistics. If I wanted to use this, is it a free space? Because
no, there's
okay,
a pay. You pay for the a license. Essentially, I have a license plan here,
right,
and you can see I have 100 seats on my license plan. Now
okay,
I do stuff for CoSpace, so I can't remember exactly what their costs are. But yeah,
yeah,
it's not a free program. Let me just
okay, good to know. There's always
yeah.
funding for things like this, but of course,
Yeah,
there's
you have to get
so
funding
much of
for it, and
it. Yeah,
yeah, and but the cool thing about this program is you could have like if you have multiple classes, I guess you could share out one code as long as they're respectively of each other's classes. and they could use between like two classes, and they could share it. Um, it's a German company, and they've
Okay.
been around for about 5 years now, and they have a forum. If you ever have a question about your code, like I'm always like, I can't figure that out. I don't know what it is. You just toss it on their forum, and they like answer it right away. They're really good.
Fantastic. And
So
I know you
yeah,
said you work with the school district, but because we're neighbors, short of me
yeah.
taking you for a drink at the Josie, would you be able to come into Selkirk and do something?
Yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to help you out. Yeah,
Okay,
always.
great.
I've never worked with Selkirk on anything before, but if you have ideas, I mean, you're where we send our students.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'd love
Awesome.
to come in and work with Selkirk on yeah,
Great.
whatever, some
Cool.
new ideas for
Okay.
it. So
I'll be in touch.
um
Awesome.
cool. That would be awesome. I'd love that. That's awesome. So I think I'm kind of getting near the end here, everyone. Does anyone have any kind of last questions for me, or anything they wanted to talk about before we all have dinner? Looking forward to that too. Long day. Cool. Well, thanks so much, everyone. I appreciate you spending the time with me and trying out something new. If it's new for you, that's great. And yeah, I'm doing another one next week on Tinkercad, so it will be similar to this. There'll be no coding. I do. Yeah, I'll toss that down on the bottom for you here.
Awesome.
Nlot at sd20.bc.ca. That's my email address for my district. Yeah, no worries. I'm happy to help with any ideas and share what I have done here. I think the more all of us share with each other, the better we can get. Yeah, so like I said, next week I'll be doing Tinkercad. So I'll be walking through how to just not simply, but how to work with 3D design and bring it into the classroom. That's no coding. That's just the 3D design part on that program. So like 3D printing it. I might talk a little bit about laser cutting and things like that. And then after that, I think it's full actually, the course, but I'm doing a 3-part course on game design in 2D. So that's a 3-part course that
That's
where
the
I'm working with
digital storytelling, isn't it?
yeah, the digital story. That's like a lot more intensive. It'll be fun, but it'll be more like we'll be building, working together and building like a story and learning about the coding part. So yeah, that'll be three sessions. I think I said I do, and they're about 2 hours each. And it'll be a good one. It's when you get into coding online, I think what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to have a forum, and I'm just going to people that are having any trouble or that we can break their code up and work on it. So yeah, I don't know if any of you are signed up for that one or not, but you are. Sweet. Well, we'll see you there. That'll be fun. I like the chair you have there too. I wish I had a chair, like a gaming chair like that. Like I'm standing right now. Terrible. My legs are getting tired. Cool. Yeah, I think that should be everybody. Cool. That's awesome. And I'm gonna keep on offering these type of things for Edith Lando. So just keep your eyes peeled, and hopefully we can all learn some more stuff together.
Yay.
Other than that, have a good night, and great working with all of you. It was amazing. Thanks so much. Okay. See you later.
Thank you
Have a
so
good night.
much.
Bye.